Enough about that. I want to introduce Matthew Martin, his sidekick, Daryl Carey. Matthew is owner and president of Dalamar Homes, and Daryl is director of the sales and marketing. So they've got a great product right here in town, and I'd ask them if they join us this morning and share a little bit about what they're seeing in the housing trend. Maybe some things that would be of interest to us would be market supply, what the customers are looking for, and some of the challenges that are that all of our builders face as they try to work new projects through the government regulations and things like that. But we'll try to be done in our usual less than 30 minutes. But right now, it's my pleasure to introduce Matthew. Matt, good morning.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me.
Glad you're here. Why don't you start off, if you would, by sharing with us a little bit of your investment in Wilson County, specifically maybe Mount Juliet, why you chose Mount Juliet, and kind of the construction timeline to build out, how many lots will be in the various neighborhoods, and then we'll take time for questions.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've been building in Wilson County now for almost 10 years. Been building in Middle Tennessee for a little over 15 now. Wilson County has been, I think, a strategic move for any builder building in the MSA here in the Nashville area. It is one of the most endearing suburbs of Nashville. And as I'm sure any Wilson County resident can see, has been very attractive and showing some of the best growth in all of the MSA of Middle Tennessee. A lot of local Nashville people, when they're choosing, as Nashville's been growing, when they're begin looking at suburbs, they're stretching out to Wilson County. And I know from the dialogue in the real estate community, when they have the relocation buyers, with the school systems, the safety, the shopping, the natural things that anybody loves about a town, in both Mount Juliet and Lebanon, it has been really encouraged from the real estate community as well. So, and we currently have 2 developments that we're selling in Wilson County. An additional phase coming in both of those, as well as another community that we're looking to get on board here in the fall of this year, there in the city limits of Mount Juliet.
Which 2 products or projects do you have currently underway in Wilson County, Mount Juliet?
Yeah, so we have the Saddle Ridge development, which is right off of North Green Hill Road. It's an extension of Paddock Place, which is within a half mile of the new high school there. And then we have Reserve at Horn Springs, which is right off of Horn Springs Road in the Lebanon area.
Tell us a little bit about Saddle Ridge as far as maybe lot size, variety of floor plans, and maybe what the total build out will be when your portion's done.
Yeah, so we have, I believe, 1, possibly 2 remaining lots in the current phase we're in, which is 22 lots. They're little over 1/3 acre lots. And one of the things that we specialize in at Dalamar Homes is basements. So several basement home sites, which is a unique thing here in Middle Tennessee, right? So walkout basements, which has drawn a lot of people into that development, as well as the predominance of those lots in Saddle Ridge have no rear neighbors and beautiful views looking over the hills, both to the north and the south of the development. And you were starting there in the high 400s, and there are homes there even in the 6s. Now, I'd love to also just kind of share a lot about the market in general as well. and kind of the part Wilson County has played in that, if that's a good segue.
Okay.
So, and I'm coming from several different perspectives, Mark. I'm on the board of the Better Business Bureau. I'm on the board at Middle Tennessee State University's construction program. We also have a real estate brokerage. For the last 7 years, we spent 5 years with the Remax franchise, a year with Keller Williams, and then we've operated independently here since January 1. We spend a lot of money on different market research with both Metro Study and market graphics. And but the various opportunities that I also am in, I get to rub shoulders with a lot of real estate professionals and builders and the like, and kind of hearing what they're experiencing, the struggles that they have. And we are in a very volatile market right now. People are, I've heard the term fleeing to this area, right, from their home states. And I think one of the biggest concerns about any Middle Tennessee buyer is the rise of home prices. So specifically in Wilson County, right now, the median home price is $364,937 to be exact. All of the data, if you will, that I'm bringing from is either directly from MLS and or from the websites of Metro Study or Market Graphic Research, which are two essentially data-driven companies.
Would you
repeat that? Go ahead.
Would you repeat
Yeah,
what the 300 and some thousand was?
Yeah, $364,937. Now that's a 7% increase over 2019. In 2019,
is that the average home sale now?
That's an average home sale
in Wilson County, or
in Wilson County alone. Wilson County alone, which is a 7% increase in 2020 over 2019. 2019 was a substantial year because Wilson County almost hit a 10% increase the year prior to that. And so home prices are rising at an astronomical level. Last year in 2020, there was 3,305 real estate transactions in Wilson County. That's 3,305. Now, the numbers I'm looking at, I'm a home builder, so I'm looking at single family residences, right? So you may see some data out there that has some multifamily and condo stuff. I'm not, the data I look at specifically doesn't include that. So these are specifically single family residences, but does include duplexes and townhomes, right? Anything that doesn't cover the multifamily category. That's a 10% increase over 2019. Where it was just shy, I believe, a blip over 3,000. One of the reasons that I use the terms volatile and specifically talking about Wilson County is right now there are 258 homes on the market in Wilson County. Okay, so if you're tracking with me, in the last year there was 3,305 transactions, right? So there are 258 homes on the market right now in Wilson County, and that's less, right, than 10% of inventory, right, on hand than what we closed this last year today, which is a really scary number. 158 of those 258 homes are either new homes or currently under construction, which means right now on MLS, and I checked this morning, single family residents, there's only 100 resale products in Wilson County, which is why it's so volatile, right? The average days on the market have come down 12% in 2020, which means people are buying much faster. There's a lot of double-digit numbers here. Excuse me. And one of the things that I think everybody needs to take serious is the fact that 2/3 of the inventory is new homes, right? And there's all kinds of implications to that. and taking off my Dalamar president kind of role in just being an objective real estate professional, there's wonderful implications with 2/3 of the real estate being new construction, and that is the additional spark of an economy. If it's a new construction transaction, that means there's a lot of jobs that are surrounding, right, those transactions, a lot of purchases, a lot of tax dollars. However, there are some downsides. You know, the vast majority of transactions that go sideways, that have litigation involved, those are also new construction transactions. So it's and then obviously the timeliness of that. When it's a new construction transaction, the likelihood of rent substantially goes up because the majority of your transactions aren't necessarily ready to close within 30 days, right? They can be 6+ month timelines, which means, and most people trying to get in the school systems, et cetera, rent is going to go up because they're staying in apartments, they're staying in rental properties in that same zip code, right? Waiting on their home, and or if they don't have a home under contract, they're staying there waiting for a home to come on market. I certainly know in certain price points, talking to the real estate community and relationships that we have there in Wilson County, it is not unusual for these homes to be eaten up within 24 hours, to be getting into bidding wars, to buy homes above appraisal, which for, and because of that market, that's what's also keeping a lot of people from putting their home on the market, right? Because it's the replacement problem, right? I can make a great income on this home, but where do we go? And one of the scariest numbers that I think I'm going to bring today is the 258 homes on the market, 2/3 of that practically being new construction, and the fact that right now in Wilson County, there are only 218 lots that you can currently build on that are developed today, which means unless resale starts popping up, I believe we're going to be possibly in a real crisis here in 6 months, with inventory being so low and the pace in which the county and the various cities within Wilson County can keep up with demand, which is going to, I think everybody is seeing in both building materials, but soon will be in product, is a continued inflation.
You
And
know,
I know that's a lot of information I'm just throwing at you, but
no,
I think it's good stuff, and it's hot off the press, if you will.
well, you're absolutely right. It's a great time to sell, but if you're wanting to turn around and buy down the street, you need to probably think twice about that. When you, we're talking about only a couple of hundred, 216, 250 home lots available. I don't know about how it is in Lebanon. I know the county is slow to the approval process out in the county, typically on the step system, septic, is a lot slower, typically going to be bigger lots. Mount Juliet has a lot of product in the approval pipeline. It's just not there yet, from
Yes.
the extension of Jackson Hills, Bradshaw Farms, Bills Robinson's development down off of Old Lebanon Dirt Road, Providence. They just keep growing that out there. Residential neighborhoods on the north, south, east, and west, but it's slowed down, and some of that is there's a lot of resistance to anything new, whether it's on the residence or certainly on the commercial side. Are you finding that you have to plan, that the planning time takes a lot longer now than it used to, from concept to closing?
Absolutely. And I think if there was an X factor or a variable that has gotten us to this point, it would obviously be COVID-19, right? I think, and we've been tracking for a couple of years, but especially in 2020, the pace in which things are able to get through the system of engineering and planning and the various government, we'll say, corridors that's taken to get necessarily approvals for developments, et cetera, from the government itself, as well as the utility companies, which again, I think is a whole other conversation we don't have to get in today, but that is the capacity of West Wilson and Adenis and some of these, the sewer system, et cetera, and planning in which, who could really plan for where we're at today. But I know across the board, and this isn't a Wilson County issue, this is just, this is an MSA issue with our current market, and that is we have tenfold the demand for in things being submitted, because I think there are, I don't remember the number, and so I'm shooting off the hip here, but I think it's somewhere around 7,000 or 8,000 lots that have been submitted to the various jurisdictions in Wilson County that are sitting on desks, right, at the same time that people are having to work limited hours, limited office hours, et cetera, to try to get this thing pushed through to keep up with the demand, right? And but that's not only Wilson County, that's every single market, because we build right now in 7 different counties, and we've experienced that in every county, right? And what we haven't seen is a government response or a utility company response where they're hiring to keep up with demand. It's kind of first come, first serve, and doing the best they can with what they have. Which, we look at that and understanding what the market's been trending the last 2 and 3 and even 5 years now. And, large MSA things, for instance, early last year, we're sitting at number 5 fastest growing city in the United States. And right now, Middle Tennessee is, and specifically Nashville and the surrounding suburbs, we are poised to be by the end of this year number 3, which is a very big jump, right? If we can get the inventory, and that's where a lot of the solutions we're seeing is multifamily. Multifamily has also increased. We see tons of apartment buildings going up, but I think long term, I'm not sure that's what any municipality wants. It's a short end game, right? For the ultimate resolution at some point is to get in the market enough single family residences for the amount of households that are coming to Middle Tennessee, because it is the relocation buyer that is the majority now of our market and has been for quite some time. Which I know for, any bankers that are out there and things like that, I know that makes a lot of people nervous on, what is the prop up of our market if most of it is coming from out of state, right? And how long will that last? And what are the different regulations that can come down the pipeline or other things that can cut that off? But I think we also see that and we don't see anything changing from a relocation standpoint for the next 3 to 5 years.
Well, certainly as Nashville goes, so does Mount Juliet. I know we've been fortunate. Recently hired another codes inspector to
Wonderful.
hopefully shorten that down. Another engineer, project engineer, probably spending a majority of their time on traffic engineer, which you can't build 2 houses without having a traffic study, it seems like, and They can stretch that out forever as well. So, when you in any community, it's tough to find that balance of how many people want to rent by choice. So nobody wants to be overbuilt on apartments, but there is a desired demographic of folks that they want to live in an apartment. That's
absolutely.
And there's a couple of hundred of them right across the street from us. Those brand new ones by the train track, by the train station in Mount Juliet. Very, very niche customer that they're after. And when COVID, one of 2 things, either we'll get over COVID and people will start working back together, or gas will get to $4 a gallon and those people will start taking the train. But hopefully we can fill that lot up one of these days. So, in addition to any questions anybody might have kind of at a break, you mentioned COVID a couple of times. What do you see in a buyer's needs, or even maybe must have, what's different? What's something that they're looking for that a year ago you would have scratched your head and they'll never buy that, that now they just can't live without?
Yes. So I think there's three things, and what'll lead into that segue also is um, because especially when you look at the Mount Juliet market and parts of Lebanon, apartments are absolutely a necessity at this point. Wilson County has done such a great job in the cities within Wilson County for the shopping, for the business growth aspect of it. And with that, you're going to have a larger buyer profile that is very specific on the location in which they are and their commute. In which case, when you've built, right, we're running out of land that's close in. And so apartments are absolutely necessary and more desirable, specifically in those areas. Absolutely. And there's a market for apartments everywhere, but when communities and counties like Wilson County that has done such a great job with the beautification as well as the businesses and the parks and the retail, there's going to be such a greater demand for the density in specific locations. Now, and a part of that, however, going back to the COVID question, is I think for the other people who are the Nashville buyer, as well as people who are relocation, really in the some in the starter, but not all. I think you're also finding a response to COVID is people being able to who enjoyed the condominium lifestyle, the multifamily and/or apartment living, are seeking single family residences out of fear, out of the ability to truly social distance, to, if you will, not cross so many doors. And we've seen that response in a market as well. Specifically to the product, I think I think the two biggest things that specifically COVID has impacted is, number one, the ventilation and air quality inside our homes. One of the very popular things that we're seeing is UV lasered air quality measures, right? Which is probably the most inexpensive way to get, viral, bacterial, things at the molecular level in our air cleaned and scrubbed through the various UV light systems, because they are far less maintenance than a true filtration system, which units already have. But and that's been wonderful technology that's been around for the better part of a decade. But is now, I think, getting more and more mainstream. You see a lot of HVAC companies beginning to, on the manufacturing side, make that standard, and even in some of the units. But we see a lot of that being asked for and requested in new homes, on top of just the normal mechanical ventilation in a home. And then I think the second is outdoor living and pools. I think the staycation has been a phenomenon that we really didn't expect. So when people are looking for a home, they want to make sure that the elements of the yard and the abilities that they have outside of the home, but specifically in their yard with a pool, with a nice hardscape and outdoor living, is something they can do. Because I believe people are responding to, what are we going to do for spring break now? And you see less people traveling, just period. And so they're investing those dollars that they would spend on a vacation towards the outdoor living elements of their home.
I'm pretty sure they all go to Mount Juliet Lowe's on Saturday morning too. Usually all at the same time.
That's right.
Hey, will you before we?
And Mark, I think we have a question.
Oh, okay. I don't see that. Oh, there is one. I don't know who it is. Let's ask away. Unmute yourself, and Matt's all yours.
Hey, Matt.
Hello.
Hey, Matt, this is Ben Forkham.
Oh, hey, Ben, how are you?
I'm good, sir. How are you?
Good.
Out of curiosity, My phone beeped out when you were saying how many lots are available in Wilson County. How many did you say? It was like 100 and
218 is what I'm showing based on the last report that came out.
wow.
Are you showing something different?
No, sir, I'm not. I just,
Yeah. Which
I just-
you know, going back to those numbers, Ben, that or looking at closings, right? In just this last year in 2020, I mean, quite honestly, if you just look at the fourth quarter of 2020, not even the whole, you know, we've gotten so low on inventory in Wilson County, specifically for Wilson County. We're going to have a true, I believe, inventory pinch come 6 months from now, here this summer, at the rate
I'm already
that,
experiencing that.
yeah. It's
I mean,
just
as a
inventory
real
is
estate
so
broker,
low.
I'm having trouble. As a real estate broker, I'm having trouble getting people to list their homes because they have no place to go.
Yes.
I mean, this is the lowest I've seen inventory in 35 years.
Yes.
Thanks.
And-
I just
and-
wanted to ask you.
Yeah, and you know, shoot, being a home builder and you know, specifically in the business of new construction, it's certainly not hard to sell a home right now. The reason it's a problem more than anything, obviously, is we want to make sure that you know, we can provide housing for the Middle Tennessee buyer and do it affordably. And I think that's where the challenge is affordable. You know, so we purchase the vast majority of our lumber from Builders First Source right there off the 109. Great guys. We've been working with them for over a decade. And right now, lumber pricing is 100%. 100%. If to give you an illustration of that, one of our, well, I'll use this. So the average square foot in 2019, the average square foot home built in Wilson County was 2,370 square foot. And what's interesting about that number is there was a few years where square foot was actually trending down. People with, you know, green energy and, you know, condensed lots, condensed homes. You know, if you remember a couple of years ago, the rise of the small house, it's been trending down for quite some time. People were downsizing and focusing on downsizing. But for the first time in a while, we actually see an uptick up where people are building now a little bit bigger home, and specifically in Wilson County in 2020, the average size home was 2,454 square foot, which is almost 100 square foot larger than it was in 2019. And again, with this COVID reaction, people wanting to build a little bit bigger house for the sake of, you know, social distancing or staying at home longer, right? They're cooking at home now. I need a little bit bigger kitchen. Those kinds of needs. We're building a little bit bigger home, which again that's a axis trend, right? Going the other way for the first time in a while. And but for a 2,400 and we'll say 50 square foot home, I would say that lumber price for at least us was somewhere typically about you know, maybe $22,000 to $25,000 just for the lumber of that home. And right now for that same home, we're looking at somewhere around 45 to 50,000 for lumber on that same home. And again, that's in lumber more than anything. However, flooring has really gone up, lighting and plumbing fixtures, things like that, because manufacturing across the globe has substantially gone down due to COVID, having limited shifts, limited workers at any given time. So at the same time, you see demand rising in several of these locations. You know, in a very similar illustration that we're using with the city government, right? More demand and less man hours sometimes. We're seeing that on the manufacturing end as well, which is on top of this demand creating just huge inflation and cost numbers to where affordability is really going to be the challenge of 2021, I believe.
Yeah, if you want a freezer, get on the list. It can take 6
Right.
months for the freezer. So
Yes.
supply chain disruption on countertops, appliances, kitchen door hardware, wood, you name it. So very interesting stuff. I'm glad you shared with us. I know we're almost out of time, but will you take a minute? You mentioned two neighborhoods, Saddle Ridge, and then you kind of dove into that a little bit. Tell us briefly the Reserve at Horn Springs. What kind of products out there?
So the Reserve at Horn Springs is a beautiful neighborhood. It's a gated community. Has wonderful access to the 109, to the lake, and obviously 109 to 40, which is something that we always look in a neighborhood. We want to be so many minutes off of any major intersection, off of an interstate. I think the two most popular things that we've seen with the buyers looking out at the Reserve at Horn Spring is their flat yards. So if you're looking for that pool, those have great lots for pool living, for the kids to play outside. It's a gated community, which, has its own appeal of not only safety, but just, the loitering and everything else. And they're predominantly wooded lots. With beautiful mature trees and a wonderful presence. And it's on the side of Horn Springs that just the approach, the real estate that's out there, and that's been a really hot spot and growing bubble, right, in Wilson County for some time with the various builders that are in that area with the lake access. So, which again, the outdoor activities, I know I'm a lake guy. I have a boat, I have a couple jet skis. The lake is busier than it ever has been because it's an opportunity to get out on the water, to vacation, to social distance, and play outside, which I know has also been a huge draw to that development as well. We're starting in there in the 5s now. I don't think we have anything there in the low 4s anymore. And it is we're in there. There's a couple other custom builders. I believe Drees is building some houses in there. So it's going to be a very beautiful, prestigious, high-end neighborhood.
Very good. See a couple of folks on here. Michelle with Harmony, thank you for joining us this morning. As these folks move in and then realize, oh my gosh, I left mom and dad back in Michigan. Got to get them down here. Come out and check out one of Mount Juliet, all of Wilson County's finest additions, Harmony, across from Music City Honda and Two Rivers Ford. Absolute, stunningly beautiful building, and so excited that y'all chose to invest in Mount Juliet. And a couple of realtors on here. I'm sure you already know this too, but if any of your folks have a cash transaction delay and people need to stay somewhere for a couple of days with their truck full of furniture until they can get in, be sure to go see Courtney. She's so loyal with us from Holiday Inn. She tunes in. We don't get to see her because I have a feeling we got her running around like crazy. But good to see so many of you folks. Ben, don't be a stranger. Ray, think we'll be able to get those guys back on track and taking care of the people's business, I hope. So, and to everybody else that's on here, special thanks to Daryl for fixing this up. Matt, on behalf of all of us that rely on customers and want to see that pipeline stay full, people to continue to be able to move in here and do business. We thank you for your investment in Wilson County. We're here to help you out. And if I'm not missing anything, we will call it a day. I like so much seeing all of you. We'll see you on Wednesday. Marla, remind me of the time, 9 or 11, 9 o'clock. 9 o'clock on Wednesday for our Wilson County Wednesday program. And the last Wednesday of the month is Wilson County Mayor Randall Hutto. And if you heard him this morning on Coleman and Company, a lot of stuff going on, and I'm sure he'll recap all of that with us. But hope you all go out and have a wonderful day. Remember to shop local. See you at the annual banquet on Thursday, if not before. Blessings.
Blessings. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Mark.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.